All right, welcome to this special episode. Today, we're going to have a conversation about halftime. It's halftime here in 2022 as we wrap up June, we move into July, and we're here talking with our coach, Dan Keller. So this is a special episode of Coaching with Keller, talking about halftime check-in. What are we doing? What should we be thinking about as far as our goals that we set at the beginning of the year? How do we recalibrate? And then what are the things that we should be focused on now that we kind of know where the market's at now that are going to get us through a strong end of 2022? So Dan Keller, welcome to the combo.
Yeah, this is going to be important. This is just going to kind of piggyback on what we've been coaching on all year. So we are at halftime. And my message over the last couple of coaching calls have been, you know, it's halftime of 2022, but you have to realize I set my goals in October, November of 2021 before we saw the market kind of, take the turn that it's taken relative to interest rates rising, relative to kind of housing pulling back a little. I think a lot of it's the consumer confidence down in the tanks relative to first-time home buyers.
Well, let's just quickly paint the stage of what's happened, right? So just yesterday, I think the NBA came out, and these are close. I'm not reading it, but NBA mortgage applications year over year for refinances down 79%.
Yeah.
So 80% drop in refinance year over year, and home purchase applications year over year down about 19%. So say 20%. So we've seen a 20% drop in purchase applications year over year, and an 80% drop in refinance applications year over year. So if you didn't know those numbers, that's the numbers from the NBA, just came out yesterday.
Well, if you didn't know those numbers and you're a loan officer, you're certainly feeling those numbers.
Yeah, you're feeling it for sure.
We're feeling them. And so a lot of what we're talking about right now is this is a market that I was made in. So I got in the mortgage industry in 2008 and didn't know any better. So I didn't know what you guys were doing prior to 08 and having really great years and a lot of volume and easy volume. And so I believe it's a lot like the 08 to 2012 time period where there's some uncertainty in the market, higher interest rates right now. And I think it's more important than ever that loan officers stay true to who they are and what they do, but more so and do it at a higher level, meaning you got to stay in my talk track lately has been we've got to be highly visible and we've got to be highly active. Okay, so and I joke around with this that we have a 3X program. We simplify it here at New American Funding. So what we're doing, Tony, is we're having our loan officers call 3 past clients a day, 3 realtors a day, and 3 pre-approved /leads/prospects a day. So that's 9 phone calls. 9 phone calls keeps the recession away is what we're going with. And it works. But the problem is people are not making those phone calls. They're out of fear, and we're seeing this a lot with our loan officers, and I talk with other loan officers in the industry, and the fear is causing paralysis. The fear is causing inactivity, and that's the last thing. You got to stay active. I say this all the time. I mean, we all go through periods in our life where we get down, whether you call it depressed or down. The best way to get out of a funk is just go move. Go to the gym, go on a run, go on a walk, go on a freaking vacation, right? We got to keep moving.
Yeah. So let's talk about those calls. So just quickly, because I think people have the fear because they don't know what to say. I think that they are a little nervous about the market. And so, they're like, hey, I'm scared. I'm not the guy who can pick up the phone and have an inspiring conversation with a past client or a realtor. So maybe talk us through those calls. What are the topic of those calls? I know you're making those calls. So what are you saying to your past clients? What are you saying to your realtors? What are you saying to your pre-approved buyers?
The first thing and the most important thing right now, if you're a loan officer and you're listening to this, or even if you're a real estate professional in sales and you're listening to this and times are tough for you, if you're scared, if you're worried, if you have anxiety, guess who can feel that?
Everybody.
Everyone around you. Your family, your wife, your husband, your kids, your prospects, your clients. Okay, so it starts first with a checkup from the neck up. Get your mind right. Okay, again, I'm not scared. Right now, I'm motivated and I'm encouraged because now I get to go back to what I did in 08 through 2012. I didn't know any better. Well, I know better now. I mean, having a couple amazing, the last 4 years have been absolutely amazing for me. And my numbers right now are not congruent with that. So I'm motivated to get back to those numbers, right? And so first off, I'm not worried and I'm not scared at all. I'm motivated. And the other thing is I've put a lot of money and time in personally into financial literacy, financial education. You and I were just talking. We had a fairly high level conversation around the 4 dynamics that go into a recession.
Right.
We need to learn those as loan officers, and we need to be able to talk to our clients about that, because you have to understand right now, when you're talking to real estate professionals and you're talking to home buyers or past clients or future clients, they're worried. They're hearing the news, the media, on social media. And so what you say about a recession, what you say about GDP and rising rates and all of the stuff that's contributing, inflation, is going to either make them more scared or more worried, or it's going to break down those barriers and those walls so that we can show them now as an advisor why it's a good time to buy real estate. I say this all the time, and I've been telling all my clients, we teach 2 home buyer classes a month. When it comes to buying a home right now, you can't go back and rebuy a home, but you can always go back and rework your mortgage. So I say rent the rate and go all in on the house. Go buy a house. Who cares if in 2023 values drop by 10%? When we hit the recession, Tony, you know this because you've been through a few of them. When we hit the recession, rates are going to drop. It's going to fuel the housing market like it did during COVID, and we're going to see a 20 to 30% surge in home values. So what? You lost 10% in 2023. You gained 20 in 2024. Right?
Well, the difference is you have the opportunity right now to find the home that actually meets your family needs, and maybe even be able to have a home inspection on that home to make sure you're not buying something that's being held together by termites or something.
Or pay $100,000 over ask price.
Or pay over ask price, which people willingly did in times of desperation when the market was up, but yet with the concern that there may be a small dip in values, people stand on the sidelines. So yeah, you're right. We need to be the experts and educate people and not be afraid to talk about these things out loud with our referral partners, with our coworkers, with our clients, because the more you talk about it, the more you learn it, the more you know it. I mean, just you and me bantering back and forth on these topics, that makes me better at having that conversation the next time I have it, because you and I, you know, we're clarifying each other's points, right? So we all need to be engaging in that sort of understanding of fiscal literacy.
So the first thing is mentality. Check up from the neck up. If you're worried, if you're anxious, your clients are going to feel that. So unplug, reset when you're making phone calls. And I'm not talking about having fake energy. I'm talking about getting real with yourself, lose the fear, and just go in and go to work. Lose the fear and go to work. So number 2, you got to be an expert. You got to know the economy that we're in right now. So I started about 3 or 4 months ago. I reached out to Dave Savage. I reached out to you. I reached out to Dan Rawich. These are people that are very, very intelligent in the industry, but I didn't know what inflation meant. I didn't know that what happens when you have massive inflation and interest rates go up. What's it going to do to housing? So I called all these guys and I took notes, and then I started studying it. And then I started seeing some graphs and some charts and going, oh, cool. And then I made my own. I made my own slide deck, and I started teaching it. I taught it to realtors. I give it to clients. So go out and become an expert. If you want the slide deck that I made, just reach out to me. You can find me anywhere on social media, but reach out to me and I'll send you the slide deck, okay? So, and that's number 2, be an expert on financial literacy and understand the markets. Number 3, we have the opportunity right now to plan. Because if you understand cycles and you understand seasons, we're simply just going through a season and a cycle right now. So yes, it's tough right now. Rates are high. Inflation's high. What's the opposite of inflation in this? Recession. So when things start to cool down and the government says, hey, we want you guys now to start spending more money, they're going to make money cheap. So then what happens during those times? So if you understand cycles and seasons, it's really easy to understand that we're not going to be in this storm for 5 years or for 2 years. This is a storm. We talked about this with our loan officers in our region, the story of the North American buffalo. Mm-hmm. They run into the storm. It's ugly, and that's why you see their pictures on social media and on the internet with these big, beautiful buffalo heads with, you know, snow-matted faces, because they went into the wind, into the blizzard, and they're wired or programmed to come out the other side alive. What the cows and the horses do in the plains of Montana and the Midwest or wherever that is, they turn around and they get caught in the storm and they die. And so when the spring comes, there's a bunch of cow and horse carcasses on the plateau, in the valleys, because these horses and cows got caught, but you don't see dead buffalo.
Yeah.
They made it to the other side.
If you turn around and try to run away from the storm just stays with you for longer. If you turn and you face it, you get through it faster and you're more prepared. So when you get through the other side, that you can flourish. You know, it's a great analogy. And I think more people need to really lean into the market. Like I see it, you know, you're a good friend of mine. We talk all the time and I see, you know, instead of getting frustrated with the numbers, you're doubling down your activity. You're doing more. So let's talk about those. Well, let's go back to the calls. We didn't. So So look, you say, hey, call my past clients. Call them and say what?
So Tony, I did a mortgage for you a year ago. So the first thing is every single one of you guys, if you're listening to this and you're a mortgage loan officer, you must do annual reviews. I'm going to say this again. If you're a mortgage professional, you must do annual reviews. I'm going to call you up and I'm going to say, hey, Tony, how are you guys doing? How's the house? You mentioned 6 months ago when we talked, you're thinking about adding a pool. Did you get that pool in?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it, man? Just normal conversations, right? And so, again, I want to teach our loan officers how to make sales calls. So the annual review can be a sales call.
So devil's advocate, why would I want to call my client when I gave him an interest rate of 3.25%? Rates are at 6%. What's relevant about a conversation with my mortgage professional?
Because you're not a selfish son of a bitch. Right. Like seriously, like most people, you buy your car. And you buy nice cars. Does your car guy call you once a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out
probably because they're luxury. They're nice cars, right? The funny thing is, the only people that I buy stuff from that call me, the realtor that sold us our house where we bought, because it was a fairly nice priced house, and he has a great business. He calls me once a year, and my financial planner. But for the most part, people don't call their past clients because one, they don't know what to say. They don't see the value in it. Stop being selfish. Commission breath. Right. Just you call your people.
Well, so I think about this and like, to me, it's such an easy conversation to call a past client and say, congratulations for getting a mortgage during the best time in the history to get it. Man, look at what's happened. Yeah. Rates have gone up. I'm sure you're in a great spot. How's things working out for you? Again, you could just be congratulating them. But look, they could have a rate of 2%. And the reality is that life happens. People outgrow their home. People get divorced. People downsize, people relocate, people's jobs, ask them to move across the country. So I just listed 5 reasons why that person may need your services, even if you gave them the lowest rate in the history of rates. Maybe they just keep that house and convert it to a rental. They still want to buy something else. So Dan, you're so spot on. And I kind of jokingly asked that question, but I know that loan officers are thinking that, like, why would I call a client? Like, their rate's so low, they don't need me. Are you kidding me? Like, this is a lifelong relationship that you want to have with this client. The best loan officers build and cultivate their database. And if you don't know the people in your database personally because you never talk to them, then don't think they're going to call you magically just because you send them something in the mail every few months.
So here's the $1 million process and script that I'm going to give everyone listening right now. So you fund a loan for a client. You call them on the day it closes. Congratulations. So you should do that. Every loan officer should do that. You should have updated them once a week throughout the process to check in to make sure everything's going good. But you call them on closing, hey, how did everything go? How did my team and I do for you? I have a team. If you don't have a team, you say, hey, how'd I do? I'm just curious. Oh, Dan, it was great. The process was great. It was smooth, and we are excited to move in our first home. Cool. You have your follow-up call. Enjoy your time. I'm going to deliver pizza. When are you moving in? You moving in Thursday, Friday? Find out when they're moving in. I'm going to have some pizza delivered. What's your favorite kind of pizza? Okay, cool. So a little closing gift, a little closing call right there. I'm not going to ask for referrals. They got a billion things on their mind right now. But I'm going to follow up that following month. So I do closing calls. So every loan officer, write this down. Well, what is today? July 6th. Okay. This week, by Thursday, I have to turn in my June closing calls to my coach. So I have to call all of my June closings and just follow up with them. Did you move into the house? How did we do? Any big plans for this summer? Any big plans with the house? Those are the 4 things I'm going to talk about. It's an easy call. Right. Like, you want a hard call? Let's go make cold calls. Yeah. Right? So those 4 things, and you do that. So you call them at closing. You call them 30 days after closing, and then you let them know what to expect. you're going to get an email from me for a HomeBot membership. You're also, and I talked to them about HomeBot. It's like a financial statement for your mortgage and for your home value. It's really cool software, and I pay for it for you. Number 2, you're going to get a House Happy membership. It's going to teach you how to take really good care of your house so you can sell it for more one day when you need to sell. Those are gifts from me, okay? I'm going to follow up with you to make sure you get those and you get subscribed and all that good stuff. Cool. So that's 30 days after. So 60 days after, or excuse me, 6 months after, I'm going to do a half yearly, just a check-in call, if not sooner. So I don't know, do you call your clients on their birthdays? I do, okay? So maybe their birthday falls in between then. So 6-month call and then a 1-year annual review. So what I'm doing with everything is I'm setting up the annual review call. So on these 30-day follow-up calls, 6-month calls, and 1-year calls, I am saying, and I do this at pre-app too. Listen, I've built my business by 100% by referrals, 100%. When we do a good job, not now, but when we do a good job, I'm going to ask you to help support me. So if you find someone or if you hear of a friend or a family member or a coworker, now here's the key phraseology, scripting, whatever you want to call it. If they're first-time home buyers, I'm going to ask them for introductions to other people who want to buy their first home. If it's a refinance, hey, if you hear of anyone that wants to do a cash-out refinance like we just did and destroyed all your debt and helped you do X, would you mind making an introduction?
So you're very specific about what you're at, yeah.
Yeah,
so
you
they think of
be.
someone in their mind.
Yeah, you're programming them. So when they go and they tell their friends that they're debt-free now, oh my God, how'd you do it? Well, my mortgage guy did a cash-out refinance. Oh man, we'd love that. You know, we took on, COVID was really hard. Cool, you need to call Dan. Okay, so you're programming them why they need to refer us, okay? So many people are like, if you know of anyone who wants to finance or buy or sell, just would you mind making, that's old school.
Yeah.
The new school is get super specific. So when you're calling your clients, that you turn a check-in call into a sales call if you close the call down. Hey, I remember we had a great time working with you, Tony. And what I found in my career, I've been doing this for about 15 years, is people that I really enjoy working with have friends that are a lot like them, right? So if you know of anyone, if you come across anyone that is looking to maybe buy a house like you guys did on acreage where you could have a shop and build, you know, a pool, would you mind making an introduction to me? Because I'm going to be honest with you right now, with these rates, volume is crazy low right now. I could really use some help. So that's the other thing right now. Be vulnerable with your clients. Yeah. Ask for help, and they will be, oh my gosh, Dan, we had the most amazing time with you. Absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to help you out. And that's the feedback I'm getting.
All right, well, we want to wrap this up, but I want to talk about the call to the realtor really quick. So we got to be calling our realtors. We got to be following up. They're slow. They're scared. Same stuff. What are you calling
Value.
your realtors? What are you saying
You
to realtors?
got to lead with value. Loan officers don't know how to sell. So we're spending, and this is a plug for what we're doing here at New American Funding. If you're a loan officer and you're not getting coached on sales calls, sales training, closing, set up a time to sit down and meet with Tony and I. This is what we're doing with our loan officers for the rest of the year at New American Funding. It's all about sales.
We've been doing it.
We've been doing it for 6 months.
Yeah.
We're going to hone in on just sales. So the big part of sales is being able to help influence their decision. I don't want to influence someone. I want to help influence their decision-making process to move forward with the value that we've presented, right? So if I'm making a call to a realtor, a cold call to a realtor, it's all about them. I'm not planning on meeting with them. I'm planning on them probably saying, I've got a lender. I'm planning on the brush off, right? But we need to be contacting realtors. Most loan officers aren't. I'm asking my realtors, are you getting called by loan officers? They were like 2 months ago. Yeah, they're stopped. They stopped after the first call. So you've got a follow-up. You have to have a follow-up system. So we have a 10-week follow-up system here at New American Funding. And if you want it, I can send it over to you. But it starts with an initial phone call, and it's all value-driven. So, hey, Tony, this is Dan Keller. Hey, I got a quick question for you. I see your signs everywhere. And I have a podcast, and I do a weekly video, and clearly you are an expert at real estate. Do you mind if and I'll give you credit for this, but do you mind if I pick your branding on some market stats? See, I don't have access to the stats like you guys have, and you're selling a ton of homes. You're seeing what's going on. And I'd love to share that information with not only my database of over 3,500 clients, but I have a pretty good reach on social media too. Can we set up a time to kind of talk about market stats?
Yeah, I would love the opportunity to do that. Yeah.
So that's one way. The other way is to just flat out, just if you don't feel comfortable with that and you don't have, I mean, that's me. So that's what I do because I create content. Another approach is just to call a real estate agent up and just say, hey, listen, and this is what I've used for years, and it's worked. I wouldn't say I hit a home run every single time, but it works. Hey, Tony, this is Dan Keller over at New American Funding. Listen, real quick, this is not a sales call. So I drop this is not a sales call. I'm not calling. But listen, I see your signs all over the place. I keep running into them. In fact, I was talking with a title rep the other day, and she asked if I'd worked with you. And I said, no, I have not yet. But what I can tell you is I know you do a lot of business. I do a lot of business. One day our paths are going to cross. And I care about my clients just much like you do. And I want to give my clients as much as the advantage as possible. So can we connect? Can we connect for like 2 or 3 minutes? I just want to put a name to the face. I want you to be able to put a name to the face so that when you see my pre-approval letter, you're like, oh, I remember that guy's first class. I remember that guy. That's another way in. And so how I close that call down is I ask them when they're in their office, and what's your favorite morning beverage? You drink a Red Bull, you drink a tea, or you drink a coffee. And I'm going to bring one by, and we're just going to stand in your lobby, and I'll take up no more than 2 minutes of your time, but I just want to meet you and shake your hand. That works.
I like that approach.
Yeah, and it's all value. It's value-based. It's all value-based. And then from there, you can interject your value proposition with that 10-week follow-up. You can learn more about, hey, in their lobby, when you're talking with them, what's one big thing right now? We're halfway through the year. What's one big thing that you want to add to your business or build in your business right now that would help you scale? So I keep it positive. A lot of loan officers go, what's one big hurdle right now that you're, keep it positive. What's one big thing that you're looking to add to your business right now or, grow in your business?
Yeah.
And then I go and research the heck out of it and try to provide value.
Well, I like it. We could do scripts all day, and we may do a whole show just on some scripts. I think that might be fun to do some role playing. Before we wrap up this call, last thing, what should I be doing as a loan officer to not be completely frustrated with the goals that I set last year? Yeah. And now I'm halfway through the year. I'm not reaching my goals. I can see a lot of people just beating themselves up over that. I mean, what should be the mindset around the goals you set last year? How do you recalibrate? Mm-hmm. And how do you rationalize for yourself that I'm not hitting the goals I made, but I still want to be inspired and reset my expectation for the rest of the year? It's
halftime. Okay, so it's halftime, and your opponent is 2022. So get that through your head right now. It's halftime, and you're down. Okay, so remember what I said at the beginning of the call? We set our 2022 goals in October, November of last year. So we're down. My numbers are way down, even my coach. So we are resetting, reevaluating our goals. So we did about 400 units last year. So I was 400 plus 10% was supposed to be my goal for this year. Not even close to that. So what we're doing now is we've reevaluated where we're at. What we've done is we've gone back and pulled, if you were in the industry in 2018, I've pulled 2018's numbers, and my goal is to beat 2018's numbers by 10%. That's my new dashboard. Loans closed every single month, money saved every single month. And so you got to reevaluate. The other thing is great professional teams. Great businesses at halftime, let's just keep the sports analogy going. Great professional teams, when they go into the locker room at halftime, they're either up, they're down, or they're tied. But they're going to evaluate their performance. What have we done great? What's working? What's not working? Gosh, we did not know they had this play. We studied this team, and this play is killing us. So you've got to regroup, right? So what you've got to do is you've got to understand right now, at halftime, what's worked for you? What's not working for you right now? Refinances, sitting on your thumbs, doing nothing. You got to go out. You got to be highly visible. You got to be highly active, make more videos, make more phone calls, and you got to see more people. Those are the big things you have to do right now. And if you don't, you're going to lose. You're going to lose 2022. But right now, I'm the coach telling you at halftime, if you don't do this, we're going to lose. If you do this, what I just said, we're going to win.
Yeah. Well, I think another good analogy that's sports related is, and this is why what Dan's saying is so important that we actually do, like Dan has redone his dashboard. So Dan has a dashboard. He knows what his goals are. He knows what his weekly tasks are. And now they're realigned with current and realistic market expectations. But let me give you the example of a bunch of people running a race, or let's just say a marathon. The people that are at the front of the pack, the people that can feel the opportunity to win, they are pushing a lot harder than the people in the middle of the pack. They may even stop and just walk for a little while because they're like, you know what? I'm so far from winning this race, it's not even worth putting in the extra effort. But when you feel like you're close to victory, you tend to push yourself harder. And that's why reevaluating your goals right now is so important. Don't be so, just crinkle them up and throw them out the window. I love the idea of going back to 2018. That's a great time frame that mirrors what we're dealing with right now in this market. But get yourself a set of goals that push you in today's market, but that are achievable if you do the things that Dan just mentioned, which is call your past clients, call your current pre-approvals, call your realtors, make your 9 calls a day. And if you do that, which most of you are not doing that right now. So set some goals that if you did that, and you achieved what you've written down, the second half of this year, you can win. Put yourself back in the race by reestablishing your goals for the second half. Like, that's what we need to do right now.
Yeah. There's 2 things that I'll close with really quickly. You'll never outperform your self-worth. So it goes back to that first thing. You got to work on your mind right now. You got to work on your mind. Get your self-esteem up. Go get active. You got to get in the gym. Go get in the read a book. Whatever you got to do. You're never going to be able to outperform your self-image or your self-worth. So you got to improve that. Okay. Number 2 right now. We talked about this with Atomic Habits, and James Clear talks about the valley of disappointment. It's where you're investing money in the stock market, and you've been doing it for 2 or 3 or 4 years. And all you're seeing is your money go in there. And you're not seeing the interest yet. But you start getting 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and you start seeing the compound effect. It's the same thing with calling prospects. It's the same thing with prospecting. Don't die in the valley of disappointment. The valley of disappointment is, it's been a month, it's been 2 months, and I'm not seeing my results. Just keep pounding the stone. Keep pounding, and then all of a sudden the results go like that. That line between that loop is called the valley of disappointment. That's going to be the next 1 to 3 months for you. Don't find yourself dead on the floor of the valley. And lastly, I have this written on my greatness tracker. I write this on every single one of them at the very top. If you're not getting rejected often, you're playing too small. If you're not getting rejected often, you're playing too small. Play big. We got 6 months left to win 2022. Go give it your all.
Yeah, right on. Well, Coach Keller, you guys, this has been a very valuable 30 minutes. Please watch this, take it in. I think there's so many good nuggets here. If you're a sales leader, share this with your teams. There's just lots of value, and everyone needs this kind of support right now. We need some ideas. We need the strategies. I love how Dan's always willing to say, this is exactly what I'm doing. Just do that. I'll give you the tools. I'll give you the resources. So reach out to Dan Keller. He's always willing to give information. You have a Facebook page that is a growing group that you pour into every single Friday with coaching for anybody to tune into. It's agnostic. It's not a New American thing. What's that?
Yeah. It's a private Facebook group. It's called Minor League Mortgage Coach with Dan Keller, and it's 10 a.m. every Friday morning. I go live for sometimes 10 minutes or up to 20 minutes, and I just share a tactic, a strategy for loan officers that we're doing. It's not like I'm telling you that this works. It's something that I'm doing that's working or something I'm working on.
So Minor League Mortgage Coaching.
Minor League Mortgage Coach with Dan Keller.
Minor League Mortgage Coach on Facebook. Go search it. It's a private group, but he'll let you in. He also uploads all the files, all the stuff that he talks about there. Our team's loving it. I know a lot of people outside of our group have signed up. And so go check out his page. Check out market shares. We're putting out content all the time on this market. We're doing loan officer interviews, people that are new in the business, people that are long in the business, people that work in small towns, people that work in big cities. We're trying to get different perspectives. So lots of resources out there for you guys to tune into. Look, like Dan said, turn off the radio right now and put on an Audible, put on a book, put on a podcast. I was listening to a book on my way to work, and you go through phases, for some amount of time, I'm let Amazon choose what, flows in through my, Amazon Music gets to choose what my mindset is. Right now, I'm choosing what I'm listening to. I'm being very strategic with the podcasts and the content that I'm taking in. Now is the time to do that. Go to the gym, get out and go for a walk, enjoy the sunshine, move your body, make your calls. You guys, it's so important right now. That's what's going to get us through this. And I appreciate you taking the time to tune in and check us out next time with Coach Keller. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.